When I when I think back to those original quilts that I made, like when I was 12 and 13 years old, they're pretty pathetic looking. And I remember when I was making them, how frustrated I would get by if I couldn't get a point to match, or that I was cutting the pieces all wonky.
That is that kind of mindless work to do a hand quilting project. You can just sit and take your stitches, and you kind of your mind processes thoughts and ideas when you sit there and just sew. When I get the quilt in the frame, it's like, well, you just think through things.
Quilts really do mean something unique. They are profound objects. Even the simplest quilt is, I'll go Marxist in the first 2 minutes.
And dipping into what, being creative really helps me to sort out the noise, to ignore the noise I don't need to pay attention to, and focus on just simply being. So we're having a pandemic, and I live in New York City, and it hit here first.
People have to have that outlet to create that work. It's therapeutic as well as a spiritual endeavor. It's necessary. It's necessary to heal.
Have you ever wished quilts could talk? What would they tell us? Quilts are great in and of themselves, but the Quilt Alliance has always been most interested in the people making quilts and the stories they have to tell. I'm Yannick Smucker, the host of Running Stitch, a QSOS podcast, and in this podcast we'll explore those stories, revealing the inner thoughts, feelings, and motivations of contemporary quilt makers by drawing on Quilters S.O.S, Save Our Stories, the long-running oral history project created by the Quilt Alliance in 1999. Thanks to our new partnership with the Louis B. Nunn Center for Oral History at the University of Kentucky Libraries, we are working to digitize this collection, and now that we have digital audio, we are able to bring the stories of quilts and quilt makers to you through this brand new podcast. Quilts and quilt making serve as a lens to examine some of today's most pressing issues, including activism, public health, politics, race, and the economy. We'll dig into the QSOS archive to listen to excerpts from past interviews and bring back interviewees to ask them about what they are working on and thinking about presently. Upcoming guests include Victoria Findlay Wolfe, Carolyn Mazloomi, Thomas Knauer, Melanie Testa, and Jinny Beyer. Our first season is launching in June, so subscribe now through your favorite podcast platform. All QSOS interviews are archived with our partners, the Library of Congress American Folklife Center and the Louis B. Nunn Center for Oral History at the University of Kentucky Libraries. Running Stitch is made possible through a generous grant from the Artists and Robert James Foundation.